Hello everyone and welcome back to the Purveyor in Fallout 76. Today I'm going to spend another 1000 scrip on legendary ranged weapons with the hope of grabbing something good to do weapon spotlight videos with. To maximize my chances, I'm going to grab a few 2 stars and a few 3 stars because that 3rd star, while good to have, isn't usually as important as the primary and secondary effect. Remember, if you like videos like this one and want to see more Fallout 76 content, go ahead and subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment. You know how this works at this point, so let's just get into it. Alright, let's see what we get. And our first roll is an instigating pump-action shotgun, double damage if target is full health, plus 10% damage while aiming. This weapon was recently nerfed in the most recent update, so I haven't had a chance to play with any instigating weapons yet. My guess is that it's still going to be a pretty solid effect, but definitely not as exciting as it would have been a week ago. Next up is the AntiArmor Gatling Laser with bashing damage. So, we finally get to say it. Magic damage is fixed in the PTS right now, folks, so before you chime in with your bashing damage means magic damage in your comments, not for long. This is why I don't spend a lot of time talking about that. It's a fun little thing that people can engage with, and I begrudge you nothing for doing so. But that's why I don't get too excited about it, because things like that come and go, they get fixed, and if you rely on them a little too much, then that can be really disappointing. Anti-armor is a decent effect to have. It doesn't really calculate just right on energy weapons, but all in all, not a bad roll. Now this one's really interesting. We've got a Bloodied Flamer with VATS hit chance. So VATS hit chance isn't going to be super useful on a Flamer. That's really a heavy weapon where we're not going to rely on VATS that much, but it's bloodied, which means it does an awful lot of damage, so this one could be a good one to play with on my heavy gunner character that I'm currently leveling up. So not a bad one. Let's see what else we've got. A Berserker's auto grenade launcher, again with bashing damage. So I am not a fan of explosive weapons. I know there are some people out there, very few. There are very few people out there who do really enjoy them. And for those of you who do, I salute you. I don't. The weapon condition degrades too quickly. The explosive damage radius isn't very good the way it calculates on enemies. And unfortunately with this one, bashing damage is just worthless. So, not in love with it, but let's move on. And now we've got a Medic's laser pistol with, again, bashing damage. So, how does this effect work? Can it be useful? The answer is maybe. So laser pistols, laser rifles, they're definitely lacking in terms of damage in Fallout 76, but this one plays a unique role. Let's say I wanted to be a support character in a daily op. I could bring this with me, load it up as a rifle or even as a pistol, and do a lot of VATS damage, taking a lot of VATS shots without really doing a lot of damage. But every VATS critical I get will heal me and my group, so that could be a useful thing in something like the daily ops. Alright, let's switch over to 3-star weapons now and see if we do any better. And most decidedly not. Mumbles, you are not short on the disappointment. Today we've got a Nocturne Broadsider with limb damage and faster reload. Nocturnal is just terrible. It's not good. Even after all the damage changes and everything, it's still just not a good effect. Weakening your damage during the day is never something you want to do, and gradually progressing at night is not very useful. Now, limb damage on an explosive area of effect weapon is kind of interesting. That's something that with big mobs you might cripple legs and limbs and slow them down, so maybe you or your teammates can run in and melee them or shotgun them or do whatever else you want to do. But overall, a Broadsider, just not super interesting, which is a shame, but a Nocturnal one is definitely not interesting. Let's see if we can do any better. Alright, this is more interesting by far. A Medic's Handmaid with limb damage and less VATS AP cost. Now this one is even more suitable in that support role in daily ops than the laser pistol was. So here we've got a Handmaid, which is a more powerful weapon, so we'll do a little more damage. Limb damage, maybe that helps slow down some of our enemies, which isn't the worst thing in the world. And with robots in particular, that can be useful because it can cripple their limbs, which can lead to them self-destructing. But less VATS AP cost is really important here, because if our goal is to do lots of VATS criticals to heal our group, then making all of those VATS shots cost 25% less is kind of a big deal. So not a bad roll. Maybe I'll try to find some way to test this one out. It'll be a little difficult in a group, but we'll see how it works in the future, but definitely not a bad roll. Thank you for that one, Mumbles. Let's see what else we can do. And next up, we've got an Exterminator's Cryolator with 10% damage while aiming and 15% faster reload. So Cryolators are interesting. They're very situational weapons. It's more of a support weapon for boss fights. Someone will bring this to the boss fight so they can freeze the queen or freeze the imposter sheep squatch in place so everybody else can do damage to it and it can't hurt them. So they're very useful. As such, that primary effect doesn't really matter because the reason you're using it isn't to do damage, it's to slow down and freeze the enemy. So while a good primary effect is nice, it's not vital. The secondary and tertiary effects matter more. Here, the 10% damage while aiming, again, not really about damage, so not that important, but the faster reload really helps us with this one. While you're reloading is the time that your enemy gets the opportunity to unfreeze and get away. So if you can reload quicker, then you can get back to freezing them quicker. So not a bad one. Cryolators are interesting. They work differently than other weapons. They're used differently than other weapons. So 15% faster reload can make this honestly a pretty solid cryolator. What else you got for us? Oh, wow. Okay. So this is what we came for. Bloodied light machine gun with explosive bullets and 50 damage resistance while aiming. This is a god roll if ever there was one. This is exactly what we want for a heavy gunner. I'm really looking forward to testing this one out. I've been leveling up a heavy gunner character. I've got her in the mid-30s now, so, you know, till I get all the perks and all the stuff I need to do it, we're still probably a couple weeks away, but, you know, because believe it or not, I have other things to do in life than play Fallout 76. But once we get there, this is going to be a really good one to show off. Bloodied is our best damage. Explosive is still now extremely effective in comparison to everything else with One Wasteland. And getting a little extra damage resistance while we're aiming the weapon for a heavy gun is a very good thing. So, yeah, this one's great. All right, what else you got for us, Mama Mumbles? Right, okay. It's junkies, which is good. VATS hit chance, which is very good. We saw that last week in our radium rifle video. Having the ability to have an extra VATS hit chance, which means you can plant your VATS on heads and get a much higher likelihood of hitting them, coupled with VATS criticals and all those things, can be extremely effective. Junkies is good. Perception, that's perfect for this weapon. Give us a little more VATS accuracy, that never hurts. Unfortunately, it's a single action revolver. They reload slow, they fire slow, they're just not all that much fun to use. So, not in love with it. I imagine someone out there running a cowboy guns build might be really excited about it, but I just don't love the single action revolver in this game. It is too slow, and its reload is too slow to really make it viable for much of anything, which is sad because it could be really cool, but that's okay. Let's move on. Ouch. All right, well, I guess since we got that bloodied explosive light machine gun, we have to take some garbage now. So a Zealot's plasma pistol with faster fire rate and agility. You know what? I take that back. This isn't garbage. If you turn this into a flamer, if you put the flamer barrel on this and take this to a Scorch Beast Queen fight with the faster fire rate and extra agility so you can sprint around a little more, you could have an awful lot of fun with this weapon. Yeah, so with the flamer barrel on a plasma rifle, you do that with the automatic rifle perks, you get really solid damage out of it. It just melts everything, and it's a lot of fun to use. The Zealot's effect will be very useful in that scenario. So I take it back. It's not garbage. Let's see what else we can get. Let's switch over to 2 stars for our last few rolls. And we've got a 2-shot assault rifle with VATS critical shots doing more damage. So I've said in the past, I don't love the 2-shot effect. I really, truly don't. However, it does seem to be standing up pretty well with One Wasteland. Mostly because it's not using lots of damage multipliers to get there. As far as I understand, that 2-shot is applied to the base damage of the weapon. I could be wrong about that. I haven't really tested them, but I think that's how it works from what I've pieced together. So it does pretty well, and extra VATS critical shot damage is definitely helpful. So this might be worth testing out on our Stealth Commando to see how that works. We'll see. Let's move on. We've got 2 more rolls to go. Can we get anything good before we head out for the day? Okay. Yeah. All right. So we've got a Junkies Fixer with bashing damage. Mama Mumbles is loving her some bashing damage today. All right. Well, Junkies, solid effect. As we saw last week when we compared Junkies and AntiArmor in a Handmaid, maybe not as amazing as it used to be, but it can still be extremely effective. Bashing damage is worthless, so for all intents and purposes, this is a 1-star weapon, but it's a fixer. So even a no-star fixer is a good weapon. So adding the Junkies effect to it makes it very good. So good solid roll. Always love a fixer. Let's see what else we've got. Come on, show me something good with our last roll, Mama Mumbles. What do you got today? Ugh. Well, that's kind of sad. Okay, well, VATS hit chance isn't bad. So it's a suppressor's bow, which reduces our target's damage output by 20% for 3 seconds. That's not a bad thing to have in One Wasteland where our enemies are significantly stronger than they once were. Unfortunately, with a bow, you're firing it slowly. You're ideally going to be killing things in one shot, so not the ideal effect for this weapon. However, VATS hit chance is very helpful. Just like those other weapons, this is going to help us target heads. Right now, with single-shot weapons in One Wasteland, if you really want to do damage with them, you need to be shooting your enemies in their weak spot. If you're just making torso shots with your hunting rifle or your bow, you're going to have a bad time. You need to hit them in the head, and that extra VATS hit chance is going to help us do that. So that's not a bad thing to have. Sadly, the suppressor's effect isn't amazing, but we could do a lot worse, and that's going to wrap it up for today. We picked up a few really interesting weapons and a few not so interesting ones. That's kind of how it goes at Mama Mumble's Discount Den of Disappointment. This trip, though, with that Bloodied explosive LMG, it was definitely better than most. As always, if you enjoyed this, found it informative, or anything in between, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more Fallout 76 content. Till next time, I'm Fisty McRib.